Okay, so I've got my pipe bender, I'm a 50mm, I'm going to run through, starting with a 90 bend, all the way through the different bends. I've got a camera filming a bird's eye view because the main thing I'll explain is looking from the bender, sort of this view. So I'm going to be talking to myself as I'm doing it and you'll get some shots from above. So the first thing to explain is how to hold a bender. If you have the bottom arm on the floor, when you put your copper into the bender and pop the hook on, it should hold itself. So you've got this hand free for measuring and popping the guide in. One of the first things I want to get across is because people, when I talk to them about bending, they make it sound harder than it actually is. When you pull a bend, all you're going to be doing is pulling this arm, and this copper can only go one way, and that is to follow the shape of the former. So we'll start off with a 90 bend, and there's two ways of doing this. So let's say we wanted the center of our 90 bend to be just here. We can pop it in the bender, and then from the edge of the former to the mark you want the center, if you measure 70mm with your tape, which is about there, 70mm from there to your line, that will mean the center of your bend will be where you need it. It's always the same, always 70mm. Or what I like to do is with a spare piece of copper, because we know the copper can only follow the path around the former, if we pop that in and line that up with the center, we know that when we pull it, that's where it's going to end up. Sometimes you can't measure the center, you can only measure up against the wall, so the outside of the pipe. So if we wanted to bend this with that line being the outside of the bend, we just move it across and you see it now lines up with the outside edge. If we could only measure the inside edge for whatever reason, when it's in situ, if there's things in the way, you just line that line up with the inside edge, and that's how we do it. So you can either do 70mm, inside edge, outside edge, and then if you've got a bender that has got the marks on it, we take the center of our pipe to the center of this line, and that will be a perfect 90. But once you start practicing, most plumbers can pull a 90 by eye. So that's our 90 bend. What some people like to do is go slightly further, and I'll explain why in a second. So we've gone just past 90 there. If I pull that out of the bender, if you can pick this up on the camera, we've got the full thickness, the outside diameter of the pipe, up until about that point there where I'm just rubbing it with my finger. Same this side, full thickness to about there. We call that the throat of the pipe, and when you bend it, it does become slightly thinner. We go past 90 because if you then bend it back to 90, it opens it back out slightly, so it's not as thin as when it comes out of the bender. So if you go slightly past 90, when you bend it back, it opens it up again, so you've not got such a restricted size. So that hopefully has covered everything you need to know about pulling a 90, which is the simplest of the bends.